Hey there, I'm Tom Cheswick, a professional portrait photographer, and thank you for joining me. In this three-part series, I'm going to show you how I replaced Lightroom and Photoshop, or actually Adobe Bridge and Photoshop, with ON1 Photo Raw. In this three-part series, we're going to cover downloading images from a shoot, how to rename the files, pulling the images, and then getting images ready for either proof gallery, in-person sales, or social media. In part two, we'll cover the fun part, editing the images using ON1 Photo Raw 2024. And then in part three, we'll cover an important part, getting your images ready for social media postings, printing them on an inkjet printer, or how I prepare images for my professional lab to print for me. If there's lots of questions and comments, feel it's best to address those, we'll do a follow-up video and make it a four-part series. So let's jump into ON1 Photo Raw. I'm going to show you how I used it for a customer. Her name is Abby. We were all set to do an indoor shoot, and at the very last minute, she decided she wanted it outdoors, right? You ever get customers like that? Well, let me introduce you to Abby. She gets her way. One of the things I love about ON1 is how you can customize it. So you can use ON1 basically like Lightroom and Photoshop. And with Lightroom, I mean that you import and catalog all of your images. Or you can use it more like Adobe Bridge and Photoshop. And that's the route I like to use. I'm not wasting time importing and cataloging my images, but I'm still very structured in my approach to my file management. When you first launch ON1, this quick start guide will pop up, and if you're really interested in using it more like Lightroom, where you go into importing and cataloging your images, be sure to watch this top video. If this screen isn't being displayed, all you need to do is go to Help, select Learning Hub, and this will pop up. I'm going to uncheck this window so it doesn't show up every time I launch ON1. ON1 gives you the ability to import from your card, going from File, Import from Device, and it will find your images that way. I don't like to use that. The way that I stay very organized is by having a folder that contains subfolders to keep me very organized. And I just duplicate this folder when I start a new project or job. And then inside I have folders for my raw photographs, if I use any background images, my final exports of the finished images, ones that I'm not using. So when I go to archive my files, I can delete that one because those were images I've never used. They were either out of focus or bad expression or blinks or things like that. Proofing would be ones that I've uploaded for the clients who make their selections, whether it's in-person sales or using a gallery like Pixieset. And retouch, sometimes some images take a lot more work, and I'll move those into the retouch in case I have to make versions of those. I'm going to have two links below so you can download my folder structure, whether you're using Windows or a Mac. So I could take a Finder window and drag things into ON1. For me, I prefer using the operating system. So whether I'm on a Windows 10 or a Mac computer, I'd rather use File Explorer or the Finder for transferring files. So again, you could do it within ON1, but let me show you how I do it. So I'm going to quit ON1, insert a card. So here are my files from my compact flash card, and here is that new client. On a PC, I would copy and then paste. On the Mac, I'm just going to right click on it and duplicate it. Once it duplicates it, I have these folders in here. So I have raw, photos and video, backgrounds, exports, ones that were never used, proofs, and retouched. We went over that, but I just want you to see it here under the operating system, Finder for a Mac. So the first step after I copy my folder structure for a new shoot is to rename it. So to stay organized, I do it by date. So first year, then month, and then date. Denied. And it helps if you can type. All right, and then this was Abby. And that is perfect. Okay, so once we have it renamed, we'll just go into it. Go to raw. This was a photo shoot. And then I'm going to select the images. And of course, Abby had a 2-day session, so it's actually the 12th and the 13th. And we're just going to drop those images over here. And if you notice, I'm shooting both RAW from a Nikon and a JPEG. You could shoot just JPEGs, you could shoot just RAW. I prefer doing both because if the exposure and the color is good, I'm just going to work with the JPEGs and have everything preset with my camera and the color baked in from the Nikon or Canon or Sony files. If I'm unhappy with the color or the exposure, I will use the RAW files. So once those are done, we can eject the card and go back into ON1 Photo RAW. So once we start up Photo RAW, it is going to open up in the last area we were at. So in this case, what we're going to do is scroll down to projects, and here is our folder for Abby. And those are all the subfolders, so we know our images are in the RAW folder and under photos, very organized. And this is Abby, that client that forced us to shoot outside when we were all set for a studio session, and also made us do a 2-day session because, well, she's so special. Obviously, I'm not a dog photographer, but I did want to show you my workflow and not use one of my actual clients to do so. So Abby did step up her game and gave me some time to take her photos. So step 1 was duplicating the folder. Now we need to still stay organized, and that's by renaming the files. So what we're going to do is select all the images, Control or Command A, and then right click, and then go to rename file. And this is where we can stay organized. So if I was doing a headshot, I would put their name there, and then we'll sequence it. Some people prefer to cull first and take out all the bad images and then rename their file, because then there doesn't look like there's any missing files. So if you'd like to do that, you'd want to reverse this step here and cull your images first. I don't mind that there are missing images. I'm straight up front with my clients. If they're looking through and they see there's no number 5, I would just say, you know, that was either out of focus or a blink. So we're going to apply, and instantly all the images are renamed. Pro tip, we just renamed all the files, but I almost made a huge mistake. And that was because shooting JPEG and RAW. I want to show you something so you don't make a mistake if you shoot both. And first, everything is selected. I'm doing Command or Control D to select none. You can also do that under Edit and select none. And the mistake is how you treat. I have mine grouped as RAW and JPEG. If I didn't have that selected, the JPEG would be 01, but the raw file would have been O2, and then the next JPEG would have been O3, and then the next raw would have been O4. The two wouldn't have matched. So once we have the files renamed, we want to continue with the group raw plus JPEG, and now we can start culling the images. Do it with stars, you can do it with colors, you can heart them, or you can X them. That's what I prefer, is just to get rid of the ones that I don't want with an X. So I would go full screen, and then X, and then arrow key X, arrow key X, arrow X, X, X. So you can use the arrow key to quickly go forward and backwards and pick out the ones that you want. We'll get rid of that one, keep that one. Get rid of that. Definitely get rid of the blur. Blink. We'll get rid of that. Her body's cut off. We're just going to go through. Oh, now there's a sweet one. And ON1 used to be so slow at culling images. It would take so much time for each image to load up that I actually used to use a program called Fast Raw Viewer until this release of 2024. Now the speed is so much quicker going from image to image. It's so quick to go forward and backwards with these. Okay, so again, just arrow keys and Xing anything that I don't want. X. 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 And you can do a mouse click on the image to drag it in to check that focus. That's one that I X'd. The next one was sharp, so I kept that. And X, X, X. And now we're done. Very next step is to sort all the ones with the X and get rid of those images. So up top, click on Tribute, and then click on the X. And now all the images from our shoot that we don't want, we're going to select all by Command or Control A. And we are going to click and drag those into the folder called Not Used. Now we're left with all the ones that we had selected. Right, and if we wanted to go through a second time, we could. Not the greatest images. I'm not a pet photographer, but overall, I just wanted to show you how to cull images. And the very next step for me would be to make images for a web gallery so Abby could make her selections in privacy. I don't have to hang out with her in a sales room and give her dog biscuits and things like that. Just rather be done with her. But if you'd like to spend time with Abby in the sales room, you could also make proofs for an in-person presentation. Both ways are the same. You would simply select all the images, Command or Control A, then go to Shift E, and that brings up the export panel. And I have one already made for my web gallery pixie set. Take a deep dive into this module. on the third tutorial for covering exports, but I just wanted to show you how easy it is. I would export these and select the folder for proofs in my file structure. So that covers everything that I wanted to do in this first part: downloading the files, renaming the files, culling the images, and getting ready and exporting them so your client can make their selections. Thanks again so much for visiting my channel, watching the tutorial. Hope you got some benefit out of your time here. The next video in this three-part series is going to be the edit, so we can either work on an image of Abby or get some other image. I'll give that some thought, or leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see edited. Until next time, keep shooting.